Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club. Today we're going to talk about John Gottman's What Makes Love Last. We've been covering one of the final chapters, which is how to know when it's time to go. In the last John Gottman video, I covered high level, the beginning of this chapter, as well as overview of the 5 different dimensions. So today we'll cover dimension 1, the Fondness and Admiration system. Please do like and subscribe. It really does help us YouTubers here, makes a big impact. And also, if you haven't had a chance, please check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can download and fill out the life balance questionnaire and send it to us. You can also just fill out the contact form and we'll be in touch. The first consult is always free. So without further ado, here's John Gottman's What Makes Love Last? How to know if it's time to go. Dimension 1, the Fondness and Admiration system. Happy couples tell their tales with warmth, affection, and respect for each other. Here's an amusing exchange from a newlywed couple. Nancy. He was a straightforward, not afraid to look at the eyes kind of person. I just thought finally I met someone that was going to be a real good friend. Interviewer. Did you have first impressions of her? Saul, repressing a chuckle. When we were first introduced, I thought, oh, what a sweet smile. I thought she was kind and cute. And then she walked away, and I tell everybody that my first impression was, wow, nice butt. Real deep. Nancy, laughing. It was at that moment that he saw my butt that he fell in love. Saul, just kidding. I guess my first impression was just the big smile, and she seemed like a happy person all around. So I guess the attraction was all there. Interviewer. So you were interested in her from Saul immediately. Spontaneous compliments are common. Here's a typical such exchange from my study of couples in their 40s and 60s. They are recounting meeting for the first time at a dance. Murray. I'll tell my version. I was in the military and got assigned to Baltimore to go to school, and I was down on East Baltimore Street, which is the raunchiest street in town. I was drinking a beer and set my bottle down on the floor. Somebody kicked it over. I looked up, and there she was. Blanche. My best friend worked at the military base, and she said she had met this very charming soldier, and she was going to meet him at this weekly dance. And she called me at work and said, I don't want to go by myself. You have to come with me. That's why I went. Murray. I don't know why, but I began to realize that they all come here because of her. That even though she doesn't talk very much, she must be the really interesting one in the group. And so I started to focus in on her. She was the leader of that group. Here's another couple high on the love and respect dimension. Interviewer. Tell me about the first time you two met and got together. Jan. You want to hear it from me because that's my favorite story. This is true, and in a way is rather unusual. Ricky worked at a ladies' ready-to-wear store. There was a window trimmer who I dated for a while. His name was Frank. Every time I went any place with Frank, he talked about this fellow who worked at the store named Ricky. So one time I said, well, Frank, I just don't think anyone can be that great. You told me he lives downtown. Why don't you call him up and see if he can join us? So Frank went to the phone, and he said Ricky couldn't join us, but why didn't we come over to where he lived? He lived in a hotel just a couple of blocks away. Frank reached over me to knock on the door, and Ricky opened the door, and he looked at me and he kissed my hand, and I was a dead duck. In contrast, couples with a weak fondness and admiration system tend to recall unfavorable first impressions of their partner. Their words convey coldness rather than fondness and contempt rather than admiration. Here is how Charisse describes meeting her husband, Donnie. Interviewer. What was the first thing you noticed about Donnie? Is there anything that made him stand out? Charisse. The wine was watered down. Donnie. I had a friend with a bottle of wine. That's what she means. Charisse. Yeah, You know, I was late for the ski bus. I was rushing on. I was the last one. I didn't know a soul. And I just wanted to go skiing. So he's with this group of people who were obviously already a group. So I don't really know that I had an impression of him as much as of the group. The next evening, we all met and sat in one of the people's rooms and partied. We were all supposed to go out for dinner together with him as my date, and he never made it because he and his buddies drank a little too much, and I ended up having dinner with one of his friends. We went back to sit in his friend's room, and of course Donnie was there. He had been sent to bed by the cops on his way to the restaurant for being too drunk. And I woke him up and said, I just don't think you're a very nice person. What a tale of woe. There is nothing positive in Charisse's account. The wine was watered down, she was late, she knew nobody, her future husband stood her up because he drank too much. To top it all off, she criticized him to his face. It's hard to imagine that Charisse would have picked out such negative details for emphasis as a happy newlywed. If anything, the couple probably laughed about their first encounter. Connor and Audrey are another couple whose fondness and admiration system has vanished. When the interviewer asked them to discuss an event from their dating days, instead of focusing on a fun time or happy occasion, they recount a major blow-up they had on her birthday. Although they don't express anger at each other while telling their tale, I could hear the death knell for their relationship in their choice of story. Connor: there was the one time when I got really mad at you on your birthday. Audrey: yeah, that was stupid. That was the most asinine thing. Connor: I got really mad. Audrey: your behavior was just a total doofus. Connor: I went berserk. I yelled at her because she was... Audrey: it was my birthday. Connor: I spent like $200 on presents. Audrey: we'd come back from going out to eat and whatever, and his friend was sitting in the living room with me talking, and I was having a really heartfelt conversation, and I felt like I couldn't just say, well, sorry, Harry, you gotta go home now. Connor: meanwhile, I was preparing to go to sleep. I was in my pajamas. Audrey: he was making this big production, and I felt like, well, yeah, I'd like to get Harry out of here too, but I felt I had to be nice to him. And then Connor just had a complete tirade, and my feeling was, just forget him. Connor: I just didn't understand that. To me, she was just totally being oblivious to the fact that this was supposed to be a time for us. It was really a miscommunication. I did kind of go ballistic. I don't get mad very often. Audrey: he got really angry with me, and I ended up leaving and came back the next day. If this is the sort of story that springs to mind when a couple is asked about their dating days, their relationship is likely in serious danger. Okay, so that was Dimension 1. Dimension 2 is meanness versus weeness, which we'll cover next time. Please do like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I love seeing your comments and love interacting with you. I'm also the one who responds on the website, so I don't have like a bot or an employee responding or anything like that. So love interacting with you guys. If I only interact with you through YouTube videos, that's perfectly fine too. It makes me happy to hear you guys saying that these works really help you. Please pick up your own copy. I did skip a few chapters that are a little bit too raunchy for me to feel comfortable covering. But it's really good, and there's quizzes in here that are really good too. And as I mentioned in previous videos, I wish Gottman had emailed me just like Gibson had, but he hasn't, and nobody does compensate me for these works. They're just interesting things that I enjoy sharing with you guys. So thanks for being here with me today. Look forward to talking with you next time. Have a good one. Take care.